What happened to Mary? What's wrong?
Is she gone?
Oh no. Oh God! Oh!
What will you do now?
Nothing sensible.
You haven't earned this, but they suit you. Good fortune to you, Edward Kenway.
Or ring a bottle.
I see some color first.
Will this do? In all your years out here, you could never achieve what I've done in 1/5 the time. Because you're a good man, Edward, see? Goodness is your disease.
That's my prize, Roberts. Now give it here!
Remember my creed, boy. A short life and a merry one, that is all. The world owes us nothing more than this. So take what you will, and then die before you live to see yourself made a fool.
Give it here.
That's right, boy, take it.
I'll sweeten you, maggot. I'll cut you down! Oh.
Calm, little puppy, and slink back to your kennel. You haven't the mettle for my brand of madness.
Roberts! Welcome aboard, Kenway. It's prizes, plunder, and adventure ahead. Are you game? Out of my way, Ben.
Raise a glass to freedom, lads. Here's to gentlemen of fortune and women of leisure.
To a world full of rogues, better than all the kings and queens that kick us about.
As gentlemen of fortune, we enjoy plenty and satisfaction, pleasure and ease, liberty and power. What man with a sensible mind would choose the former life? For I have dipped my hands in muddied waters, and, withdrawing them, find 'tis better to be a commander than a common man!
Swooped down on powerful wings to seize a grazing lamb, carried on to her nest. Flying close by, a jackdaw saw the deed, and it filled his head with the idea that he too was just as strong and capable. So, with a great flapping and rustling of feathers, the jackdaw came down swiftly and clutched at the coat of a large ram. But when he tried to fly away, He found he could not lift the animal, for his size and strength were not up to the task. And even as the jackdaw struggled, the ram hardly noticed he was there. Nearby, just across the field, the shepherd saw the fluttering bird and was quite amused. Running up, he captured the jackdaw and clipped its wings. That evening, he gave the jackdaw to his children as a gift. What an odd little bird this is, father, they laughed and shouted. What do you call him? This is a jackdaw, the father said. But if you should ask him, he would claim to be an eagle.
No more than 2 years! You promised me!
You left! When I needed you the most!
But you had me! What keeps you wondering? Do I not make you happy?
I'm so close, Caroline! Please! Just let me do this!
Is everything you do out of spite, Edward?
It's not spite that's driving me, Mary! It's courage!
Courage for what, man? There's no one left in your life to care.
God damn you all! I can handle this!
Loud. Always tearing down when you could be building things up, or building yourself up if nothing else.
Just leave me be!
Change course, Edward. Change your bloody course before it's too late.
Captain Kenway! You look like a bowl of plum duff.
Christ! Oh, I've got a head for 10.
On your feet.
Put me on the spot, Addy. After leaving me with Robert, I should have hard feelings about seeing you here. But mostly I'm bloody glad.
Me too, brother. And you'll be tough to know your jackdaw is still in one piece.
So we set sail. You're leaving.
Aye, Edward. But I have another calling elsewhere.
Addy, listen.
When your heart and your head are ready, visit the assassins. I think you'll understand then.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Let's Stream Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. In the last episode, we found the observatory and were rewarded aptly for our tenacity. Thrown into a Jamaican prison for nearly a year and left to rot. When Atabai came to save Mary and Anne. Mary didn't make it. And we see Edward's alone. So, with his head and heart ready, Captain Kenway is going to set sail, I believe, for Tullum. Yes. Where we have long since neglected our responsibilities. So, here we go. We will travel first to the temple, where we will obtain our prize for the Stele. Mayan outfit, gained by completing the Mayan stele activity. According to legend, this Mayan outfit was created using scavenged first civilization materials and has the ability to deflect metal projectiles. There we are. The unique outfit of this game. Unfortunately, it does not have a hood. But I think it suits Edward really well. Sequence 11. Everything is permitted. Though, I wonder if we should do this with the assassin robes. Just to be proper about it. Depending on how long this takes us, this may very well be the final episode. But we'll have to see. Everything is permitted.
Jesus, Addy, what the hell happened here?
You happened here, Edward. The damage you caused 6 years ago has not been undone.
I'm not an easy man to call a friend, am I? Is that why you're here?
To fight beside a man so driven by personal gain and glory is a hard thing, Edward. And I have come to feel the assassins and their creed a more honorable course. Have I been unfair?
No. For years I've been rushing around taking whatever I fancied, not giving a tinker's curse for those I hurt. And yet here I am, with riches and a reputation, feeling no wiser than when I left home. Yet when I turn around, look at the course I've run. There's not a man or woman that I love left standing beside me.
There is time to make amends, Captain Kenway.
Mary. Before she died, she asked me to do good by her. To sort out the mess I made. Can you help me?
Mary was fond of you, Edward. She saw something in your bearing that gave her hope you might one day fight with us.
Aye. She told me.
And what do you think of our creed?
It's hard to say. For if nothing is true, then why believe anything? And if everything is permitted, why not chase every desire?
Why, indeed.
It might be that this idea is only the beginning of wisdom, not its final form.
That's quite a step up from the Edward I met here many years ago.
Growth. It's about time.
It'll take some getting used to.
The second attack this month, I should have moved this village long ago.
I brought all this upon you years ago, but I will stand by you now.
It will take more than a few favors to call yourself a true assassin, Edward.
One thing at a time, mate.
The rope dart. Rope darts are equipped with a lethal grappling knife. Press Y while above your target to assassinate. Hold Y while above your target and move the left stick to assassinate and hang. Aim at an enemy and press Y to drag them toward you and then X to strike them.
Only attack once more. Come.
Rope dart, black jaguar, and crocodile leather. Okay.
To the beach. Stay close, Edward. Follow my lead.
Okay. What it takes to craft a rope dart. Just bones? Huh. We got this.
Swift and clean, Edward. Merciful kills are all they deserve.
That coward is hiding aboard his ship.
Oh, all right. There we go. Up, up, up.
¡Se está yendo!
There we go.
Yanumuk Awoyetel Abishan. And once more you have our thanks, Edward. You are welcome here.
Thank you, sir. I'll rest here for a time before setting out, if I may. How's her child?
She is a strong woman, but not invincible.
I'm sorry for your loss.
If I'd stayed in prison, they'd have taken him from me. He'd never be alive. Maybe this is God's way of saying I'm not fit to be a mother yet. Carrying on like I do. Cursing, drinking, fighting.
You are a fighter, aye. In prison, I heard stories of the infamous Anne Bonny and Mary Read taking on the King's Navy together. Just the pair of you.
It's all true. Anne would have won that day if Jack and his lads weren't passed out in the hold from drink. Edward. Everyone's gone, aren't they? Mary, Rackham, Touch, all the rest. I miss them so. Rough as they were. Do you feel that too? All empty inside?
I do. Devil curse me. I do.
1721.
Targets by sight well enough. How will I find them?
We have spies and informants in every city. Visit our bureaus and the assassins there will guide you.
That fixes Torres and Rogers. But Bartholomew Roberts won't be near any city. It might take months to find him.
For years. But you're a man of talent and quality, Captain Kenway. I believe you will find him.
And if you're at a loss, don't be afraid to call on your quartermaster for aid.
Quartermaster! What's our present course?
Due west, Captain, if it's still Kingston we're sailing for.
It is indeed, Miss Bonny. Call it out.
Weigh anchor and let fall the courses, lads. We're sailing for Jamaica.
Aye.
How does it feel to bark so loud?
To Jamaica.
Louder and to men twice as rough.
Tending bar at the old Avery, you mean?
Among other places. And I sailed with Mary and Rackham for a time, remember?
Of course.
Mary did most of the captaining, Jack did most of the drinking.
Did Mary... Did she ever tell you who it was that fathered her child?
It was a young fella. Sailed with us on that last voyage. Poor lad was killed fighting beside us. The only man not too drunk to stand up for himself.
There was so much about her I didn't know. I called her a friend. But was I one in return?
She thought the world of you, Edward. I've no worries about that.
Well, that's good to hear.
It's always been my opinion that the very end of the game, right after Roberts betrays you at the observatory, right until the very end, is just such an uptick in the quality of the story. It's like all the pieces that have been slowly coming together for the entire experience suddenly merge, and you've got this legendary cast, and they only exist in your memory because most of them are dead. And look at that, we fly the black flag with the Jolly Roger skull and the assassin's symbol. Go us. Yeah, this game, it's already very old, but I think it'll go down as one of the classics. Alright, let's deal with Governor Rogers.
Need to disappear, Captain.
But you know what we might as well do? We'll stop in here. I mean, what are we going to do with all these riches if not use them? Alright. A killer whale skin. 2 black jaguar pelts. 2 crocodile leather.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Outfits. We can still buy outfits? Nah. We'll sell some cargo. Sugar. Rum. Dart pouch 2. Rope dart pouch. Alright. That's it. That should be everything.
My thanks. Arrivederci.
All right. Time to visit the Bureau.
Captain Kenway.
You have something for me?
The present whereabouts of the Templar Woods Rogers. He is attending a small political function, so do it clean.
The word is King George is calling Rogers back to London.
Aye, not happy with his progress in Nassau.
Still too many pirates roaming about, from what I hear.
You'll need a disguise to fool the powderheads at this party. I suggest the visiting diplomat, Ruggiero Ferraro. He's been on our list for some time.
Understood. Will you send this to England for me?
Aye, the ship leaves tomorrow.
Caroline Scott Kenway, Hawkins Lane, Bristol.
Classic. A blade in the crowd. And that's it. No swords, flintlocks. Do we have tools? Nah. Just a blade in the crowd. Ah.
Va bene. I am ready. We go.
For those of you keen-eared observers, that is the voice actor for Ezio Auditore.
Can I help you? You presume too much, sir.
There is no beauty to this city. No expression of joy. No aesthetic plan. You walk your streets like animals. Like cattle with no sense of decorum. You are all idiots. How you English believe you can subdue the world is beyond me.
Oh, that's not good. There it is.
Ah, praise God for imported wine. Who can drink?
We've done this before. Look at us. We might even be a gentleman.
Salve. Forgive the lateness of my arrival. I am Rogero Ferraro.
Aye, Mr. Ferraro. Not a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, a toast to my brief tenure as Governor of the Bahamas. For under my watch, no less than 300 avowed pirates took the king's pardon and swore fealty to the crown. And yet, for all my successes, His Majesty has seen fit to sack me and call me home to England. Brilliant! God bless the fucker! Therefore, hooray! Hooray for the ignoble and ignorant pricks who rule the world with sticks up their asses! Hooray!
Is it neither?
And how is Mrs. Rogers these days?
I haven't the faintest idea, and I don't intend to inquire any further. We separated almost 5 years ago, and both our lives have been the better for it.
Forgive my curiosity, Governor.
Perhaps I'll be more candid later, when the remainder of my reason has left.
Huh. I have a feeling like this is the place to sit.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Leave me be, I'm no soldier!
He was a privateer once. How is it you lack so much respect for sailors only trying to make their way in this world?
You couldn't possibly understand my motives, cretin!
You have spent a whole lifetime dismantling everything that makes our civilization shine.
But I do understand. I've seen the observatory, and I know its power. You'd use that device to spy and blackmail and sabotage.
Yes. And yet all for a greater purpose. To ensure justice. To snuff out lies and to seek truth.
There's no man on Earth who needs that power.
Yet you suffer the outlaw Roberts to use it.
No. I'm taking it back. And if you tell me where he is, I'll stop the man.
Here at the edge of a blade, I find a friend in you at last.
Principe, you mad bastard. Our best sources say Principe.
I'm not here. You never saw me. This is not what I came to the New World for.
What's happened? Is Captain Rogers hurt?
Oh, we're just gonna take a stroll down the way. Okay.
It's done.
Where now?
Grab your kit and pack well. We're sailing for Africa.
Okay. And we're heading for Africa then.
You get yours, bastard! You'll not get free, Jack! Fall in line! Pulled me from the deep there, Captain. Jack thanks you hearty.
All right. And we'll head right on out.
Captain has the helm.
Yes, Miss Bonnet. Long Bay. We might as well. It won't take us very long to do. 2 chests and a viewpoint. is this? 52, 525, 253. 525, 253. Yeah, we'll have to go inland for that other one. Oh, a social chest. Look at that. I think that before we kill Rogers, we should read his story, if that be his story. Okay. But while we're doing that, we do very much need to finish this. We stopped finding steady work. Yeah. Finding steady work. Reaching Jamaica, I pushed all idle thoughts and fantasies from my mind and set about finding myself employment. A letter of endorsement from my mentor, Mr. Davenport, hastened my success, and within a fortnight I was able to secure an interview with an agent working for the estimable Mr. Peter Beckford, a man known wide across the West Indies as a one of honor and good intelligence. As I must say, was his agent, for the man hired me on the spot, and within 2 days' time I was set to work upon the slaves' quarters, fitting them with sturdier doors and tighter roofs. For mine own accommodations, I am well pleased to tell they were fine. 3 windows had I, 2 of which looked upon the cane fields. When opened, a light breeze filled my room, one scented with the raw perfume of the nearby sea and the distant sound of a hushing ocean surf. Often, too, the spiritual songs of the Negroes, hard at work, entered and gave me a deep calm. It was pleasant there, only this comfort could not mask the dread I felt at the thought of catching the yellow fever, or another of the innumerable ailments that often struck those newly arrived to these parts. For my part, I saw well over 17 men and women perish from the disease within 6 months of my arrival. It seemed then that for every success I had, another 2 or 3 potential hazards lay in wait, and as time would tell, this proved most unfortunately true. Peter Beckford, the elder. Of my employer, I must say something, for it was owing to his connections that I came to find such troubled dealings. Peter Beckford was a man of great charisma and pride. In 1662, he had come to Jamaica, and in just 10 years had fast procured himself a sizable portion of land, which he sowed with cane as early as he was able. Upon my coming into his orbit, he claimed all about him, one of the largest private holdings of land in all the world, rivaling only kings and emperors for his largesse. This same surplus applied to the number of slaves in his employ, whereas he had arrived in Jamaica with a complement of 3, he now owned the better part of 300. A shrewd and relentless man of business, Mr. Beckford was known also to be subservient to a temper of cyclonic power. Wrath and fury and enmity were his primary means of settling arguments that could not be concluded in Mr. Beckford's immediate favor. He was, however, always kind to me, and as gracious a man as one could hope an employer to be. But this I put down to my status in his eyes. He was a traditional man, with a respect for rank and breeding. In earlier times, he had been the governor de facto of the island, and though a statesman no longer upon my arrival, he still bore all the signs of a man who felt it is his natural duty to lead. Further, his political connections he valued as deeply as his sugar and the money it brought him, and it was in this capacity, following the arrival of a Spanish soldier, that I met the man who would change my life for the worse, forever. A young man named Lorenio Torres. The Templar arrives. It was April of 1673 when I spied the galleon in Kingston's harbor flying the colors of the men of Holland, which I thought queer, but not unlikely. This was a ruse, however, for the ship's cargo was most assuredly Spanish. A gentleman called Torres, once a soldier in the Spanish army, now an emissary on behalf of his king, or so he said to Peter Beckford. I learned later that he'd call himself a Templar, and had made his visit to Beckford's plantation to look upon Master Beckford's strange collection of collected manuscripts. Torres was 2 days with Mr. Beckford when another object took his full attention, namely me. The sight of my face stirred in him a strange sort of excitement, which I found altogether untoward at first, until he plied me with questions that shocked me to the core of my being. Said he to me one evening, after supper, "Hear you voices, Mr. Kavanaugh?" "How is that?" I answered, feigning ignorance, though shaken in truth. "Voices from the dark of your mind, or memories, to be clear, as if from another life entire." And here I was terrified. How was it that this man knew the odd riddle of my life as if it were a banal fact of history? "I know not what you mean, Master Torres," said I, and took my leave of him, so anxious as I was. "Good night to you, sir," said he, as I departed. "We shall speak again when you are rested and ready to talk." Still shaken, I bade him good night, and made for my bedchamber. Feeling another reverie coming strong upon me, when I reached my bed, I fell into Bath. Another frightful reverie. Here I relate another reverie, myself and a woman. "Beloved," said she, a voice so intimate and familiar, "our colleagues conspire against us. They dither and sigh, resigned to their fates, content to champion the humans. But there is hope for us. There is a chance we might inure our bodies to the chilling world, the poisoned atmosphere, and the war itself. Will you aid me? Will you submit?" And here I hear my own voice in answer. "Yes, beloved, what must I do?" "Transference," said she, "the shuttling of our minds from these old bodies into new forms, mechanical bodies, perhaps, or into those of our instruments, our humans. In short, I believe there may be a way to transfer all we know and all we are into other forms. In this way we may survive the coming cataclysm and live to see our people repopulate the earth and recover her from those we foolishly set loose upon it." "Transference," I said aloud, "our minds into alternate vessels, a dangerous prospect, but reasonable." "Yes," said she, "and who better to make this leap than you, my beloved husband, with a mind unparalleled, a constitution unrivaled, architect of the observatory, overseer of Eden's tools, the brightest light in our civilization. If you are not capable of making this leap, perhaps no one is." And here replied I will do this for you, beloved, for us and our people." The assassin Lost as I was in my reverie, I failed to see the envelope slipped beneath the door to my bedchamber. It read thus: "Dear sir, forgive the alarm I must have raised with my queries, but you have the exact likeness of a man my colleagues and I have longed to meet. Allow me an audience, and I will explain all. Your friend, Laureano Torres." I pondered this letter for some time that evening, wondering what it could mean that I had the exact likeness of a man he knew, and why it should raise so much intrigue. I wondered at this for hours, pacing about the room with a mind to slip from my chamber, when of a sudden I heard a rapid succession of reports from pistols and rifles outside in the garden. To my ear it sounded as if a war had begun, with me a bystander at its center. I dropped to my knees and hid on the far side of my bed, away from the window, and shut my eyes. But as I did this, a voice called out to me from my chamber door. "Mr. Kavanaugh," it said. I raised my head and opened my eyes, and there saw a figure cutting a terrible outline, hooded and robed in dusky sienna. The man lifted a small pipe to his lips and blew. I felt a sting upon my neck as if from a mosquito. I opened my mouth to protest, but thereupon a wave of fatigue took me, and I fell fast asleep. Rest and repast. I awoke some days hence in a bustling native village, in the presence of the same man many leagues from where I had called my home. A native himself, with a strong and serious but gentle face, he named himself Balaam, and begged me not to be frightened. Strangely, I was not, for his demeanor was calm and his words were kind. I asked him why he had brought me to this place. His surprise seemed genuine, and he told me, "You are a sage. Your face tells it plain. Your eyes most of all." I did not know what to make of this suggestion. He went on. "You are but one of a long lineage of identical men born outside their original time. Your likeness and your soul are a pattern, repeated through the ages. Oftentimes a century or more passes without the appearance of a sage. Other times two are born in the same decade. We know not why." And dash my brains, but all he spoke was known to me in some stricken way, and yet it had frightened me all the same. How could it be that I was a man reborn? How could it be that I had already lived one life, and had plodded through a second, still pondering the first? I spent many a day with this man Balaam, and in that time he told me all he knew, then asked questions of his own he hoped I might answer. The observatory. For several days I stayed with my captor, Balaam, asking him all manner of questions, and he asking the same of me, and all the while I wondered what fate he'd intended for me. At last, on the 7th day, I revealed what lay heavy on my heart. "What do you want of me, sir, that you keep me a prisoner so?" And at this Balaam laughed and answered, "You are no prisoner, sage. You may take your leave at any point. Only tell us where you wish to be dropped, and if it be in our power, we shall transport you thence." This answer surprised, then angered me. "Why, then, did you spirit me away with such a diabolical method? Kidnapped, no less." And he said in answer, "Your master hosted a Templar, and may now be one himself. Such men are not to be trusted with a prize so valuable as you. Steer clear of them, for they seek the knowledge that hides in your mind, your dreams, your memories, and the location of a place once dear to you, the observatory." This word rang in my ears, for I had heard it before, another memory from a time long ago. "And what do you desire of me, sir?" I asked him. "Would you steal the secrets buried within me too?" Balaam smiled. "I would not shun them, but to share them is a point for you to decide. Your secrets are your own, and yours alone to lend." Taking my leave. After my difficult counsel with Balaam, I took a day to ruminate on what should be done. Notions strange and uncertain battled in my head for supremacy, and I was never on one idea long before its opposite seemed a better option, yet at last made my decision. "Sir, you have been gracious with me," I told him, "and my trust in you is complete. Yet I cannot share my visions and memories without first understanding them myself. I must therefore take my leave and travel in secret to a place that has occupied my thoughts for many years." Balaam smiled and said, "I understand well, and believe in your cause. To find the source of your reveries will do you a great good. Go, therefore, and answer these riddles. We will provide you with supplies to see you safely embarked." To which I replied, "Thank you, sir, and if what I find satisfies me, I will return hither and provide you with answers that may satisfy you as well." In the days following, Balaam was true to his word. With his young son Atabai in tow, he transported me first unto a fishing village near his own compound, and supplied me with maps and coin before issuing a warning. The Templars are lately come to the West Indies, and this Torres is their Grand Master, and though few now in number, there must be soon others. Take heed of them, and trust not their entreaties, for what they cannot earn by conversation, they will take with force. And with this, and a hearty goodbye, I took my leave of this assassin, and set out for parts unknown, a vague sense of purpose pulling me forward. My search. After leaving Balaam, I set out in a sloop of my own, and travelled for nigh on 1 year about the West Indies, sailing with a small crew to all manner of jungles and playas and beaches, looking for a sign or a landform that might spark in me a memory. Along my way I met many fine peoples who did me great kindnesses and offered work in exchange for more provisions. In this way I came to know the people of the New World and of the Old, and found in all of them the same hope and desires. To travel is truly the finest education. Then, after my 13th month a-roving, I found my object well inland on a known island. Here it was, the place Balaam had called the Observatory. Oh, what memories the location aroused. Well prior to clapping eyes upon its structure, I knew I had come to the correct spot. Leaving my men on shore, I passed alone through jungles and deep ravines, coming at last upon the spot, and there marveled at its strange and foreboding presence. Without prompt, I knew what to do. I pressed my finger into what I knew to be a portal, and upon its opening, I passed inside. What I saw there, however, shall remain a mystery, for the world is not ready to hear my tales, which should sound like sorcery to all but my friend Balaam and perhaps the Templars who likely chase me still. On being a sage, I remained alone at the observatory's location, plumbing its secrets, all the while besieged by such an influx of reveries, it would require a tome twice the size of a Bible to relate them all. Let it suffice to say that I came to understand the nature of the two souls within me, and I am now content. After near on a week there, I was visited by a group of natives from the island, people of the Tiano tribe, I believe. They spotted me first and might have killed me straight away, had my utter surprise not widened my eyes to such a degree that their unusual qualities were seen by all. At seeing me thus, the natives stopped and dropped to their knees with slow gesticulations. I understood at once that these men were sworn to protect this place, and in my further conversations with them since, I have made out that it was a previous sage who had employed them so, or more precisely, I should say employed their ancestors thus, for nearly 150 years had passed since the last sage had come this way. I am told his grave lies nearby, but it is unmarked and inaccessible. It has now been over 4 decades since my arrival at this sacred place, and only one question yet lingers in my mind. How many more of my sort have been here in total? Near 80 millennia have passed since our inception, and I am apt to believe the number quite high, but I cannot know for certain. But let that not trouble you, reader, for if you have followed my story entry, look for you my final missive in the place where I will soon surely lay, hidden near the observatory, where I have instructed the guardians of this place to bury me when my passage across this mortal coil is at its end. Therefore fare thee well until then. A secret incomprehensible. As I write, the year is now near upon 1706, and I am sickly and in poor condition, and so must tell what little else I can of my condition. All I tell here I have dredged from the dark void of my memory. I cannot confirm or prove what I argue, but perhaps, if some others like me were to see this, they too would understand, and feel not alone as I so often have. In my original life, I died in the midst of my beloved's experiment, this method of which she spoke of. The transference of mind into machine and from thence into a human body was a failure, yet an instructive one, I believe, for in my last moments I recollect her comforts to me, and a clear promise that my death would not be an end, but a beginning. There is another way, beloved, she said to me, imperfect, yet possible. Firstly, I will agree to carry out Minerva's experiments. her terrible gift to the humans, yet my purpose will be contrary. My purpose will be your immortality. In collecting samples of the code in the human's blood, I will add my own augmentations, samples of your code, transfigured in such a way that when the proper pieces come together, it may further transfigure the zygote of a newly conceived child. In this way you shall be reborn again and again throughout the ages. With luck, this recessive recurrence shall never die out, but travel on like a raft downstream along the tide of inheritance. I was dying as she spoke, there in my beloved's arms, but I understood her meaning well. Look for me, beloved. Your death will not be in vain, for I will be with you again, entombed, lying in wait, ready to emerge again when the time is right. She then pierced me through the heart, thus ending my life. How truly bizarre it is that I can claim to have a memory of my own death is a ludicrous idea, and yet I know that it happened, and that I now live again, many centuries from that time, waiting for the final piece of this riddle to reveal itself, yet how this will be I cannot say. Thus, to any and all who have read this and understood little, be not upset, for there is more mystery than sense in the world, and our only purpose is to endure it. Kavanaugh, 1706. So, not exactly Roberts, but his predecessor, because it's 1721 now. Very interesting. But that will bring us to an end of this episode. And when we come back, we will sail to Principe and cull this sage from the mortal coil. For revenge? Yes. But because he's a madman as well, that would abuse the observatory for what ends I cannot imagine. So, if you enjoy the content I put out here, please consider following me here on twitch.tv/JeffTheNarrator469, or if you prefer to watch on YouTube, you can always find me on there as Jeff the Narrator. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today, and until the next time, please keep telling stories.